Hi everyone.
Hello.
You're welcome to our YouTube channel,
Yeah.
and we have a lot to talk about today. So I'm glad you're here, by the way.
I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, because we've been wanting to do this together for a while now. So we're going to talk about emotional connection in marriage. We're going to talk about emotional connection in marriage. We found out over the years, even by research, that a lot of couples get married and after a while they turn out to be roommates and they feel like they don't love each other anymore, they don't have feelings for each other, and they feel like the best thing to do is to divorce, or look for someone else who is emotionally available to them, who listens to them, who communicates with them, who is always there for them. And so, because of that, a lot of marriages have crashed. A lot of marriages have not gotten to the place of divorce, but they are now living as roommates. No feelings, no emotions, and of course, it also affects sex. It affects a lot of things. So we're going to talk about it because it's important to just state at this point that emotional connection is important. And emotional connection has to do with sharing your soul with someone.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just so this is one of the reasons why I know that we're soulmates, because before you said that, I was literally just thinking in my head about the different needs of a human being. You have the physical needs and you have the soul needs. I was the word soul was in my mind, and then you said it.
Awesome. We're in sync then. We're in sync. So it's basically sharing your soul with
Yeah.
someone because, at the seat of your soul is your emotions. And this is that part of you that is responsible for how you feel, all of your feelings.
Yeah.
You know how you're with someone and just listening to them, talking with them, you feel good.
Yeah.
They make you feel good about yourself. And some people, they make you feel bad about yourself. Some relationships, when it comes to emotional connection, it's that place where someone listens to you, they don't judge you, they support you, they they walk with you through your fears or through your feelings. It could be fears, it could be anxieties, it could be wishes, it could be whatever it is. It could be happiness, joy. When you achieve something you want to share with them, they are happy. They want to share that part of excitement with you and joy with you and happiness. So it's about just sharing your soul with someone, and that's a fundamental part of our lives as human beings. But then, in this case, in the case of marriage, you've chosen to share your soul with someone who you call your wife, or your husband, or you've chosen to share your soul with your boyfriend or girlfriend or fiance or fiance. So it's important to understand that, especially in marriage, that emotional connection has to be a constant key. It has to happen throughout the life of that marriage. Yeah, there are times when people get busy. There are times when distractions come. We're going to talk about some of those distractions. There are times when you're very busy, you're doing a lot, you don't have time during the day to connect, and it begins to get into days and into weeks. For some people, it's taking care of children. So the woman is taking care of the children. She's busy at home. She's stressed. She doesn't have the time to connect. The man is working. And so over a period of time, there's an accumulation of lack of connection emotionally.
Yeah.
And so there's a gap at that emotional space between both people. And a lot of times you now begin to feel like you don't love each other.
Yeah.
You begin to feel like, oh, he's just your roommate or she's just your roommate. There's no feeling anymore. And it impacts on a lot of things, a lot of other things. It impacts on sex. Because you're not emotionally connected, especially for a woman, she won't want to have sex with you. Um, it impacts on your conversations. You begin to have cracks in your conversations. You begin to have, easy irritation because this person is not making you feel a certain type of way that they used to make you feel. There's no good feeling. There's no love feeling. There's no friendship feeling. And so because of that, you're just feeling different about a lot of things, and it impacts your conversation. There's no depth to it anymore. There's no friendship, and all of that. So it's important that emotional connection should always be a constant. And it also means that both people must always be emotionally available for each other. Because sometimes one person wants to share their feelings, one person wants to spend time with you, they want you to listen to them, they want to share their emotions with you, but you're not available. And the other person is saying, oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy now, I can't listen to you. Or they're not even patient enough to listen to you. Or they want to listen to you to judge you or to just throw out that counsel. So there's no connection. Even if we are still talking, we are not still connected because I'm just listening to you so I can dish out my advice and move on. So availability is important. And availability means that I'm here. I see you. I hear you. I feel you. I am in this world. I'm sharing this life with you. And I'm really very intentional about it. Because it's that availability that makes the other person feel seen, feel loved, and can connect. And the icing on the cake is when you now have the right skill to listen, when you have the right skill to know what to say when you need to say, and to know when to be silent when you need to be silent, and just sit with them, just hold them, just hug them and look them in the eyes and say, I love you, I appreciate you. So sometimes it's just that, so it's to know how to also navigate that space, because availability requires skill. Apart from the fundamentals of just sitting to listen, spending time being in that person's space, how you listen is important, what you say is important, how you make them feel at the end of the conversation is important. These are the things that contribute to building emotional connection, and once there's that emotional connection, even your spiritual life, your spiritual intimacy, that emotional intimacy, physical intimacy, financial intimacy, everything just falls into place because both people feel good about each other, feel good about their relationship, feel good about where they are, and then it just impacts on everything else. So yeah, I would leave you to say something at this point.
I think you've covered it to a great extent, and I'll just add that it's a fundamental need. When you started and you started talking about the soul, um, I was thinking about it. It's like, just like we have physical needs, and you have to, for example, physiologically, you have to eat to maintain or sustain the human body, right? So food is like a physical, or it is a physical need, right? Emotional connection it feeds the soul, and your soul is the seat of your emotions, which is why that connection feeds the soul. Your soul is the seat of your identity, of who you are. And so connecting emotionally, or being emotionally connected in marriage, is so essential because it feeds who you are as a person. And so if you're not getting it from the person, the one and only person that you should be getting that from anyway, to an extent, and looking at this from the perspective of a woman, because I know that it probably applies to men as well, it almost feels like you begin to feel diminished. You begin to feel like you're losing yourself. You begin to feel lonely and isolated, because there's a core. It's almost like you're emaciating, because when when you don't feed your body right, you will starve, and
Sure.
you will go lean. So the same thing happens to the soul when the person who is supposed to be your soulmate, who is supposed to be the other half of you, doesn't feed your soul. And it goes both ways. So if I'm not feeding your soul and you're not feeding my soul, something is going to happen to me, something is going to happen to you, and we're going to end up becoming shadows of ourselves. And which is why you will find that distance happening, and also why because of that vacuum, there's a tendency to seek it somewhere else. And so you will find people seeking emotional connection either from friends or from colleagues at work, or from the internet, because something has to feed the soul, right? And so they get it someplace else. And so they're getting the things that they need from someplace else or from someone else, and not from the person who is their partner. And so at the end of the day, there's a gap, there's a distance, and then they begin to feel like they don't love each other anymore. It's like like you said, you begin to feel irritable. The other person just irritates you, and you're like, I don't love this person. How did you wake up one day and find that you don't love that person anymore?
Yeah.
So it is so important. You cannot sustain a marriage. You can't, because you will both be starving, and something will happen at the end of the day. It's going to lead to a real chasm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't just wake up and you no longer feel love for that person. It was something that took time. So a process had happened, So I also would want to say at this point that if you feel like you don't love your partner anymore, it's not the end of that marriage. It's not the end of that relationship. Because feelings, emotions are things that can be worked on. It takes action. Sometimes you don't feel like doing something, but by the time you start doing it, the emotions will follow, the feelings will follow. So don't think that your marriage has ended because you don't feel like you love each other anymore. It's something that can be rebuilt.
Absolutely. And you can do that intentionally, or that even requires intention. I like to use analogies, which is why I talked about the physical need for food. And so what happens when you don't get that and you become emaciated, right? So there's opportunity for repair, just like you said. Someone who is severely starved or malnourished can be renourished and brought back to their original state. Absolutely. Or even a better state. But that requires certain things of renourishing
nutrition
that person. So you can renourish that marriage even when it feels like that there's a big gap, or there's no connection anymore. If you know what nourishments are needed and you begin to take the right steps or the right actions, that thing that felt like there's no love, or that situation where it feels like I don't love this person anymore, there's no way I can feel connected to this person. There was a time when you didn't know them and somehow they were able to win your heart, and right,
they
so
fed
it's
your
possible,
emotions.
Right, so it's possible to get that back, is what I'm saying, just like it's possible to renourish a malnourished person.
Great, awesome. So let's talk about what couples should do, or people who are in a relationship should do to build emotional connection, maintain emotional connection. So maybe I would just say one thing. I think first thing is conversations. Talk, have conversations. Be intentional about your conversations. People can talk without being emotionally connected. You can talk about surface things, talk about politics, talk about trending issues, and you go to bed. But if you really want to be emotionally connected with someone, it means that you need to really pay attention to them. You need to also pay attention to their feelings, not just them. Not just what they say, but their feelings as well. Have time during the day where you connect. You may not have time during the day to connect, but you can connect at night. Okay, but one of the things that is important is if you're away during the day, try as much as you can to always send a message to each other, call each other. Um, if you have nice notes to write and send, because it does something to the heart, send nice notes, send nice poems, do voice notes, just let them know you're thinking about them. Um, these are ways, and then they reciprocate the same thing. You call them during your break times or when you have time to call. Just be doing that, because all of these build up and they add to the emotional bank account. And at the end of the day, have time that you can actually just lay down on the bed, for the married ones. For you're not married with the person, when you're calling at night, I remember those days when we were in university, we used to do extra call, those free calls. I know you didn't do it because you liked your sleep so much.
Yes.
But young people who are in love would call and stay awake all night, just talking. It was a way to build connection, emotional connection, build the relationship. So, for married couples, at the end of the day, if that's the time you have, you can, just sit down or lie down on the bed and just talk. So what you're talking about is what helps to build the connection. It's the topic. Things as simple as how was your day? What was so exciting about today? What was productive about today? What was stressful about today? How did your day go? Because in all of this, you should be able to begin to pick out the emotions. So the emotions could be frustration. Oh, my boss today, he was just so this and so that. And then you can know how to soothe them and help them distress. In some other cases, it could be that, they are proud of themselves, of their accomplishment for that day. You understand that excitement, that they feel, that joy they feel, and you can reach out to, affirm them and to say, I'm proud of you, you're doing a great job. So it takes skill to identify the feeling, because you are addressing the feeling and you are relating with them from the dimensions of what they feel. So that's a way to build connection. So you're listening, you're not just listening, but you're hearing what they're saying, and you can pick the emotions that they express, per time. And for the both of us, we also do our gossip. But those things are just ways, to build that connection between, the two of us. So I would say talk, and talk. Find opportunities to talk. Find opportunities to express, how you feel, and be vulnerable, because vulnerability also builds that connection. When you're vulnerable, it leads to intimacy. And what vulnerability means is that I am free, I'm safe enough to share with you how I feel, and I'm vulnerable enough without you judging me. Because a lot of times some people don't want to be vulnerable, especially for men. They don't want to say, I'm scared of going into this business, or I'm scared of this position, or I'm scared of, being a responsible father. They're not vulnerable because they don't want to be seen as weak. They don't want to be seen or judged to say, your mates are doing this and you're here saying this. So vulnerability is important even as we have conversations, because those are the things that if I'm vulnerable enough to share my thoughts, my feelings, my deepest emotions with you, and I know that we have created a safe space for me to be able to be vulnerable enough to share how I feel, then you can't judge me as well. Then I'll be able to share those things that are very deep, the deepest part of me.
Yeah.
And when I'm sharing the deepest part of me, and you can also connect, you can affirm, you can support, you can relate with me from that dimensions of my emotions, it builds connection. And I can also be safe enough to tell you what I'm not happy about. And we can talk about it. Yes, it could lead to fight sometimes, but I should be able to share how I feel. Whether it's good or bad, I should be able to share it. because we've built a space where we can actually do that. So emotional connection requires talking, conversations, you know, and being skillful enough to actually hear what the person is feeling, hear what the person is feeling, not what the person is saying, because it has to go beyond what the person is saying and relate with them from that aspect or from that dimension.
Do you know where I'm smiling?
Why are you smiling?
I've
Please
taught you
tell me.
well.
Yes.
Hear what the person is feeling, not
Yeah.
just what they're saying.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, you've said
I had to learn how to love you, yeah? You have to show me how to love you.
how to love me specifically.
Yeah.
But this applies to I think this applies to most women, you know, and most people, because and yeah, I take that back, not just to most women, to most people, because it's the same for men. And you talked about vulnerability.
Yeah.
And you know, when a man is talking to you, he also wants you to hear what he's feeling, not just what he's saying. Even though, you know, men often say, oh, we say what we're thinking and what we're feeling, and women, you know, they say things, but you have to read listen between the lines. Yeah, I mean, there's some truth to all of that, but vulnerability definitely is very important for both parties. The man has to be vulnerable in opening up and about his deep feelings, and the woman has to accept that vulnerability and recognize that, you know, and not judge, listen to understand. And it goes both ways. Like I always say, women also have to be vulnerable. There's the misconception, or there's a common misconception that women talk more and women are more vulnerable. To a large extent, yes. But there are also women who are not vulnerable, who are very guarded and very, you know, very guarded, and it takes them a while to unfold themselves. And so for both parties, for someone to be vulnerable with you, you have to make them feel safe. If I'm vulnerable with you the first time and I don't feel heard, I don't feel understood, or I feel judged, I'm not likely to be vulnerable with you the second time. Those walls will go back up. You know, so emotional connection is supposed to bring down those walls. So talk, like you said, listen, and listen to understand. Not, you know, when you started, you talked about you know, I just want to listen and dish out my advice. Sometimes, I mean, there are a couple of things that have become fairly common knowledge, in the sense that sometimes when a woman is talking to you, she's not asking for a solution. She just wants to feel heard, and she wants you to listen to the feelings behind the words. So there's an acronym in my head for, you know, for building emotional connection. The first T is talk, so it's TRT or TTR. Talk, touch, reflect. But I think I prefer TRT because talk, reflect, touch. So in the talk, you said quite a lot of things. You know, you've covered a lot when it comes to the talk. Being open, being vulnerable, listening, listening to understand, and then, you know, reflecting. So in the talk, so I'll pair the T and R, because in talking and reflecting, to build true emotional connection, you have to ask each other questions. Because like when you were talking, it's not just about the gossip or the gist or the talking about what's trending or watching football together, watching a movie together. You're spending time together, but you're not necessarily connecting. So you have to ask questions beyond, you know, just the everyday norm. Questions that aid your understanding of that person, that aid your understanding of the person's background. It's like when we were talking earlier on about when you started dating, you fed their emotions. How did you do that? You go on a date. What are you doing? You ask each other questions because you want to get to know each other, isn't it? So I ask you questions, you talk, because I'm trying to get to know you. But, you know, people think that once I've dated you for a while and I've married you, then I've known you. No, you have to keep knowing the person. You have to keep asking questions to keep getting to know and know you, because you will not know, even by the time you're 60, you still discover new things about the person.
Sure.
And of course, people grow. So the version of that person that you married, 10 years ago, for instance, has grown. So certain things have changed, certain mindsets even have changed. So you have to keep asking each other questions. I remember there was a day we were talking, and we're talking about love languages, and the the love languages that I had when you met me, we had this conversation where I said I needed this then, but now I don't feel like it's my primary love language anymore, because I have grown. And so this other thing is now my primary love language. But how would you know that if we didn't have that conversation? So you would have kept feeding a love language that is no longer relevant to me. Meanwhile, there's a new one. So you have to keep ask each other questions, deep questions. Still keep getting to know one another. Reflect on that. So if we're having a conversation, I'm asking you questions, and you're responding, I'm listening, and I even after that conversation, I go back and I reflect on the things that you said, because I have listened to understand you. I have an insight into what matters to you, and I'm able to feed that thing that matters to you. For example, when during the day as you're working and you talk to me about what's going on at work, for instance, and I'm listening to you, the more I listen to how you communicate to me about work, the more I see how the things that matter to you, when it comes to work. And I'm able to recognize those things, and I'm able to feed what you need. The same thing, that you would do with me. That's how you continue to build emotional connection with someone. You have to talk, you have to reflect, you have to reminisce. In fact, I'm adding one more R. You have to reminisce. Think about the past and, reflect, reminisce about times that you did, memories that you've shared, bring those things back. It's like, oh, we used to do this. There was a time we had a conversation where we used to write cute little love notes to one another, but we stopped doing that. We're like, okay, we need to bring this back. Remember when you did this? Remember when and then those just, make your heart flutter. And when your heart is fluttering, you're building connection. So talk, reflect, reminisce, and touch. I say touch because there's something about tactile connection also as you're talking. You know how many times you've touched me, like just since we've been talking here. During the course of the day, sometimes we just pause and we hug each other. Sometimes I just come, like I might be doing something, you might be doing another thing, and then I just come and I touch your beard. Those things, there's something intangible. Even though you're touching, there's something intangible about touch. Just connecting.
It's saying something.
Yeah, it's saying something. And sometimes it's even saying, I'm seeking to connect with you. Because, there might be times when I'm seeking emotional connection and I just come and I rub your arm like this. And you recognize that and you pause what you're doing and you give me attention. Even if it's briefly for 5 minutes. That moment of just that touch signals to the other person that there is a need to pause and just connect. So those little things add up and they build up to, and to you continuing to connect with one another. So my recipe is TRRT.
Awesome. That's very beautiful. Talk, reflect, reminisce, and touch.